चैलेंजेस तो बहुत देखे हैं, पर शायद मेरा सबसे टफ चैलेंज कोविड। मेरे साथ मेरी टीम खड़ी थी, फैमिली, दोस्त, फैंस। एक सिंपल सी चीज, उनका फोन कॉल। मैं आइसोलेटेड जरूर था, पर अकेला नहीं। आपके आसपास जो लोग स्ट्रेस, अकेलेपन और डिप्रेशन से गुजर रहे हैं, उन्हें कॉल कीजिए। बस एक फोन कॉल। और अगर उनको या फिर आपको जरूरत है एक फ्री डॉक्टर कंसल्टेशन या काउंसलिंग की, तो फिर इस नंबर पर कॉल कीजिए। आप अकेले नहीं, हम एक साथ हैं।
हैदराबाद में बैठकर लखनऊ से कबाब का लुत्फ, जनाब यही है जन्नत।
जस्ट माई रूट्स, लालच को पंख लगाओ, किसी भी शहर से खाना मंगाओ।
Merry Christmas to everyone. Today we are going to go to a care center called Ashray. Merry Christmas.
Hello and welcome to Backstage with Boria, our Christmas edition with my hero. You know, someone who as I said several times in the past in several of my shows, a dear friend of mine and someone who I'm in trouble, I call and say, please bail me out. He's bailed India a million times as well. But Sachin Tendulkar, thank you very, very much for taking time out and doing this Christmas show. Always such a pleasure to have you.
Absolute pleasure being here, and I'm going to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance.
You know, Sachin, we are going to South Africa. We are already there, rather. Test match just about few days away. When you travel to a country like South Africa, two things make a difference. One, bowling and picking 20 wickets. And two, batting, especially your openers, you've got to score runs and you set up a total. If I come to bowling first, our attack, Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Shami, Mohammad Siraj, Shardul Thakur, Ishant Sharma, that's the fast bowling unit, and Ravichandran Ashwin, Jayant Yadav. So your thoughts on how, because you've played in that country so many times, on how we should approach bowling in South Africa?
It's a well balanced attack, I feel, and the fast bowlers that we have, they're all different types of fast bowlers. So Bumrah comes at a different angle. Siraj has developed into a fantastic bowler. Shardul up front likes to swing the ball. Umesh, you know, all Ishant's experience will be handy, and it all depends on that given day. You know, who's also fit, because the number of games being played and the number of injuries that we've also had. Couple of spinners missing out because of injuries, but it is also about understanding the bowler's rhythm. If a bowler is bowling well, then he should be ideally playing as much as he can. And the way I see our bowling attack, there is a lot of fire in our bowling attack to pick 20 wickets. Ashwin's experience and the way he is been able to use his variations has really impressed me. And so is Jayant. I mean, Jayant is a backup bowler, I would like to believe, to Ashwin. Ashwin is always going to be our strike spinner when it comes to Test cricket. He's bowled well in the T20 Championship also in the recent past, and shown us tremendous variations.
Yeah.
When it comes to hitting the right areas, I would say a lot depends on the overhead conditions, the dampness in the surface, All those kind of elements come into play. And if the ball is swinging, then I would encourage the bowlers to bowl around off stump, not outside off stump. If you want to take the ball away and you are targeting fourth stump or maybe a little away than that, then it makes batters' life easy. He's also readying your wrist position and the way the bowler is releasing the ball. So you don't want to allow a batter to comfortably leave those deliveries, where I would encourage the bowlers, actually, if you falter being in line and getting hit a couple of times for a flick, I would be okay with that. But don't waste the new ball. The new ball in South Africa becomes really, really important. The first 25 overs are really important. When the seam is hard, it's sticking up and it flattens up a bit, then I would encourage the bowlers to pull back the length a bit, slightly further away from the batter. And then, depending on how much the pitch is helping and who is batting, the batter's stronger areas and weaker areas, all those factors will come into play. And then you decide the right length to bowl. But that will continue to vary from literally session to session, because the overhead conditions will also keep changing, and so will the pitch conditions, and so will the ball.
Okay. Sachin, you mentioned Siraj. What has impressed you about Siraj? Because he looks such a fresh, kind of raw talent, great passion. I love
There
seeing
is spring in his legs, and that is what I like to see. His run up, you can see, is full of energy, and he's one of those bowlers. When you look at him, you cannot figure out whether it's the first over of the day or it's the last over of the day, because he's coming at you all the time, and that is what I like. He's a proper fast bowler, and his body language, he's so positive. That is what I like. He is a fast learner. In fact, when he played last year in Australia, I made his debut, if I'm not mistaken, in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And it never appeared like he's playing his first match. I felt, oh, this guy has been around for a while. That was the maturity he showed, and he built up his spell so beautifully there. And from there on, he's not looked back. Every time I see, there is something new that he has introduced.
I will send Mohammad Siraj this clip. This will be his New Year gift. I can guarantee that. I will send this clip to the Indian team, pass it on for Mohammad Siraj. There you go, his Christmas gift. Sachin, one more on bowling before I move to batting. Jasprit and Mohammad Shami, they have played in South Africa before. So has Ishan. Does that help, that you've sussed out the conditions before, you've played in a country before, does that help?
Oh, it definitely helps, because someone of Ishan's experience, of course, Bumrah is also a quick learner. Umesh, when he gets his rhythm right, it's a joy to watch him. So all three bowlers, they have their qualities, they have their strengths, and together, when you make that as a package, it's a formidable package, because you only win test matches by picking 20 wickets. So we have that ammunition to pick 20 wickets. Ishan's experience will come in handy. Bumrah.
Mohammad Shami is also very good in overseas conditions.
Yeah, Mohammad Shami. I mean, I love Mohammad Shami. His run-up, his approach is fantastic to the stumps. His run-up is again a joy to watch. Like I spoke about Siraj, and then of course, when a quality fast bowler is in good rhythm, it's always a treat to watch, and that is the case with Mohammad Shami as well. I may have forgotten his name, but that doesn't mean that I don't rate him at all. I mean, I think he's a fabulous bowler. I really, really like him. He's a great trier.
We've done the 2018, for example, our bowling was excellent. We got 20 wickets each time, but the problem, Sachin, was batting. We couldn't chase totals. We weren't able to put big totals. Opening was always a problem. Rohit and Rahul did excellently well in England. So talk to me about opening the batting in South Africa, or batting in South Africa rather.
On a number of occasions that we've spoken, I've always said front foot defense is important. up front foot defense is important. And that front foot defense is going to count here. The first 25 overs, front foot defense is going to be critical. And that is what we got to see in England when Rahul got those runs, and so did Rohit. Their front foot defense was solid. The hands were not going away from the body. When your hands start going away from your body, that is when you start losing control slowly but surely. And the beauty was their hands were not going away. They got beaten on occasion, and that's fine. Every batter gets beaten, and bowlers are there to pick wickets, so it's okay. But when your hands start going away from your body, that is when you're likely to edge the ball. The reason for them continuing to bat was because their hands were close to their body. And that was a major difference in the earlier partnerships which were unsuccessful, and the last tour of England, where the openers really did a fabulous job.
How much is it mental? Rohit was on this show, Sachin, and I asked him, Rohit, you've done very well in red ball cricket recently. Was it also a mental adjustment? And he said, Dada, absolutely. Like when you play multiple formats, it's also in the mind. Like South Africa, you've told me several times that how you used to visualize. How much is it mental?
It is mental, because when you start telling yourself this is something that I'm not going to do, the first thing you go out in the middle and you do is this, your hands going away. So I would much rather say that try and give yourself a message what you are expected to do and what you want to do, rather than what you shouldn't be doing. And if you speak to most of the guys in our team, they would be working on what they want to do rather than what are the things one should not be doing. So it's all about positive reinforcement, positive messaging all the time. And that positive energy flowing in your body reflects. Your movements are fluid. You're not tight. That nervous energy can be picked by opposition. And if you are confident and positive, that will also be picked by opposition. Bowler smells it. It's like a man eater. When a man eater knows that there is a prey around, he's going to pounce on. And exactly that is what a bowler does to a batter.
Lovely, fascinating. You've set up the openers. I mean, like in the case of bowling, you set it up so beautifully. First 25 overs. Is there something that you want to talk about in terms of batting also? That once the new ball and then once the shine wears off a little bit, approach changes as you go ahead with your innings. Any such thing that you want to talk about when it's India batting? Maybe good weather conditions, sun out. Does the approach change?
The approach will change depending on how well the batter is batting, because after 25 overs, I'm not saying that life is going to get easy. It will still be tough, but relatively, it'll be easier.
I call this section Sachin nostalgia, and I've got to take you to South Africa again because you said India versus South Africa. And I remember during the writing of your autobiography, you told me that great story that Alan Donald was bouncing you,
Yes.
and you decided that I will widen my, and you changed your stance, and it was a fabulous story. Can you tell me about that, please?
I mean, Alan Donald was known for his hostility, his aggression, and mind you, I mean, off the field he was a fabulous guy then also, and we continue to be friends. I value that friendship. And with Donald, when not much was happening over the wicket, the strategy was to go round the wicket and attack my rib cage and try and get me out there. So I thought, sometimes taller guys use their height to get on top of the ball. So why not shorter guys use their less height to get under the ball?
Oh, nice.
And that is what I tried to do. I just shifted my center of gravity lower and started going under the ball. So anything around this area, or even this area for that matter, I started going under the ball. And it became easier because Alan Donald bowled quick. He was called White Lightning.
Yeah.
So because of his pace and the bounce that he was generating, I felt even if the ball is just short of good length, I can duck under it. And to be able to do that consistently, if I widen my stance, I go even lower in my stance. Even before the ball is released, I'm much, much lower. And then it was all about picking the length. If I've picked the length, I was already in a position, literally keeping a lot of gap. I mean, literally that much gap between my legs. And it became easier to go down.
Fascinating. This can still be done by current batsmen because they will keep coming down the wicket. You can still try this strategy.
Well, it depends. I mean, sometimes you can take them on and sometimes you let the ball go. Against the same Alan Donald, 4 or 5 years later when we played in Cape Town. So when Donald came and he bounced a couple of deliveries, I was able to hit those pull shots. And then to Macmillan, when I pulled, I thought it was going for a 6, and Adam Barker took a blinder at boundary line. It was about 5-7 yards inside, but the ball was traveling. It would have gone for a 6. But then it all depends on the non-striker. If you're batting against tail enders, then you take those chances in spite of a couple of fielders on boundary line trying to get you out.
Fabulous. So that's what I wanted to do as part of this segment, which I call nostalgia. Now is the occasion. This is a segment where I want to look at the occasion. And what do I mean by that? Boxing Day, New Year Test match. These are test matches that are built up around the world. When you play these test matches, you want to do well because these are occasions where there are people, television viewership, everyone watching, festive period. Sachin, you played some outstanding knocks. Tell me about, for example, that Melbourne knock which Ajinkya Rahane watched several times before that Melbourne 100 last year. That Melbourne knock of yours and the occasion, the Boxing Day occasion, what did it mean to you when you played some of these knocks?
Well, this was a knock in 1999, and wicket had fair amount of bounce and juice in it, as we call it. The ball carried quite a bit, and it was a debut match of Brett Lee. Brett Lee bowled quick in that series, and he would actually warm up at like 145, 146, and then go on to bowl 150 plus. The ball was carrying. One had to obviously try and be there as much as possible and let the ball go initially. And then once batter got used to it, then you could pick and choose the length and decide which are the areas to attack and which are the areas where you should let the ball go. I was able to do that. It was a rain-interrupted test match. I remember before the start of the play, it had rained and the pitch was damp. And Ajit Agarkar was bowling from one end, of course, with Srinath and Venkatesh Prasad being there. And Ajit Agarkar's ball, the way ball carried, Srinath and Venkatesh Prasad, because of their height, they always got the ball to bounce. But when Ajit's ball took off, I realized that this pitch has got a lot of bounce, extra bounce. Mm-hmm. And of course, extra bounce also works in your favor if you're in a positive set of mind. Then you see scoring opportunities. It is all about shortening bowlers' good length area, and that happens on bouncy tracks. If the bowler falters marginally on shorter side, if a batter is able to get to good positions to attack on back foot, then it becomes a joy to bat on those surfaces. And that is exactly what happened in Melbourne. I was feeling in great nick. It's all about the sound that you hear of the bat. That is confidence to me. It has that connect. And when you hit the ball, it hits in the middle, and the sound that it makes, when you hear that, you know that this is what I want to do and this is what I would continue doing. So when you may score runs, but if you don't hear the sound, back in your hotel room when you are sitting alone and thinking about your batting, that sound was missing. You may score literally 20-25 runs, and it happened to me in the series of 2004. I kept hearing that sound, but till the fourth test match, I hadn't scored big runs. So I kept hearing the sound, while a number of guys kept
Let me take you there. Let me take you to the fourth test match, because
So
that was
Melbourne
actually
was
my
that. So
follow-up.
Melbourne in 1999 was that. I mean, that sound wasn't missing. It was always there. I knew when I was hitting the ball, I could hear that sound. So, like I said, it was a rain-affected game. Uh, I remember playing a pull shot of Shane Warne, and it was a full-blooded shot. Like on a normal outfield in India or anywhere else in the world, you wouldn't even look at the ball because it's a sure shot boundary. But here, Ricky Ponting started chasing the ball, and those days the ball had to actually hit the concrete, as they call it in Australia, the gutter, and the ball actually had to hit the concrete to be called a boundary. Ponting before got to the ball had actually stopped because the outfield was so heavy and it was slow. Ball had stopped few inches inside the boundary line, and then he had collected the ball and he literally had thrown the ball. That is when I started my fourth run, and I knew that I was comfortably going to make it because the boundary was so long. Ponting obviously has a very, very strong and accurate arm, but the boundary was so long. I knew. I mean, and I've never experienced anything like that. In India, if I had played that shot, I would be, the next thing I would be doing would be to look at the non-striker and say, okay, the next ball might be here, and then whatever our strategy, I wouldn't even look in that direction because I know that it's a short boundary. But those are the challenges that you face in certain parts of the world. The conditions change dramatically to what one is used to.
My time's up almost, Sachin, but I just want to say, when I celebrate you, when we celebrate Christmas, it's about giving joy. And what gave me a lot of joy were those visuals. I mean, firstly, I want to put it on record. Your work with UNICEF, your work with, setting up a basketball court here, your work with children around the country, your work with, in multiple settings, giving people joy. But I want to ask you a specific one. The school in the memory of your father for 2,300 children, you were there. I was looking at the visuals. It gave me a lot of joy. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, with an organization called Parivar, we are working together and constructing the school where 2,300 tribal children are going to benefit over the years. And what we are looking to do is just provide them a platform to flourish, to chase their dreams, because having opportunity in life is really important. And there are some unfortunate children who don't have that opportunity, where the skill, the ability is there, but there is no platform available, and the need is massive. Wherever you go, people would ideally want some kind of help, and if one is in a position to do so, then why not? And my father being a professor, he'd be a proud man today. The number of runs that I scored, this would be equivalent to that, because he always, I mean, on his holidays also, he would go out and deliver lectures. He would take private tuitions just free of cost, because there were so many poor students who couldn't afford to pay their fees. And that is when he would take that time out and spend those moments with those less fortunate ones. So here, naming that school in my father and my mother's name is a satisfying thing, because, like I always say, that performance can always be measured. The level of satisfaction can only be felt by the one who's doing something, and to me, satisfaction matters. When I shared this with my mother, she didn't say anything, but her expression said it all, and that is priceless for me. So it's just begun. So we'll continue to do much more as STF, which is Sachin Tendulkar Foundation. We have a solid team, and then to have a solid team, like-minded people who are not thinking of keeping anything, who are only thinking of giving, matters in whichever capacity, and that is what matters. It need not always be financial. that you are giving something. It could be in form of time. It could be in form of multiple ways. If contributions come in from various directions in different forms, it has to move forward. When we talk about the STF, which is Sachin Tendulkar Foundation, my name is there, but there is a big team behind this. And the captain of this team is my wife, Dr. Anjali Tendulkar, who spent hours on end, right? It's to do with children. And being a pediatrician, a gold medalist doctor, I trusted her knowledge, her feedback, and she was leading the way all the time. And though she's always working from behind the scenes, and she's not the face of this foundation because she prefers it that way, but I would say she is the captain of the ship.
Sachin, I want to ask one more because it's Anjali. I mean, I have known both of you for close to 2 decades now, and I've seen if there is team Sachin Tendulkar, it is led by Anjali. In terms of solidity, in terms of what she has done to keep everything together, obviously in terms of leading the Sachin Tendulkar Foundation, it's very important that we publicly celebrate her, Sachin. So, you said she is the captain, but just a little bit more. It is important that we celebrate her a little bit more, please.
She's a private person and she prefers it that way. But I know she's not going to be happy with this, that I've spoken about her on the show. But it's her leadership, to be honest. It's her leadership. Of course, we all are moving in the same direction. But she's led the way, that initiative where she said that, okay, we have to get into these areas. And along with that, of course, the whole team was there. But like I said earlier, that the real captain of the team.
Let me say this, Sachin. I mean, I want to. I mean, now that I was obviously reading about it, but my hand is up. If I can, contribute with my academic know-how, time, anything that I can make a difference to Sachin Tendulkar Foundation. As I said, you are making, you're batting for India again in your second avatar.
So you speak about education here with Parivar Foundation. We've adopted few kutirs, and kutir is a house in a village where somebody is prepared to just lend the house for about anywhere between 120 and 150 children, tribal children, to sit there, study, and before they start their day, they get to eat. There is a proper free meal. And from that village itself, there are educated teachers who will come and spend time with them. That would be complimentary as well. And when they finish that, they come back again to the kutir. They get their evening meal before they go back home. They play and they go back home. So there is overall win-win situation because children, above all, they are the future of our nation. So to be able to provide them this facility and then making sure that the future flourishes and they are able to chase their dreams, this is the most important thing for our foundation.
I will be in touch with your team and in whatever way I can contribute, whatever little I can contribute, my hand is up. My hand is absolutely up.
Thank you.
Finally, Sachin, I was looking at data, and that's my last question. I was looking at data. You've retired 8 years, will be 9 in 22. You're still the most searched, one of the most searched cricketers. Explain that to me. I mean, how is this possible? Along with current cricketers, I see Sachin Tendulkar right up there, one of the most searched. Your message to your fans, because 2022, everybody hopes will be a better year. COVID will be under control. There are vaccines, there are therapeutics. Obviously, the world should become a better world. Final thoughts, Sachin, wishing everybody a happy new year.
Well, my final thoughts would be, first of all, big thank you for so much love and affection. Continue to do so. It means a lot. You've supported me throughout my career when I was playing cricket. Yes, this is the second innings of my life. And like I said, the second innings of my life is equally important or possibly more important. And because the first innings of my life, a team consisted of only 14 or 15 members. Here it is 1.3 billion plus. So it's a bigger team, so bigger effort is going to require, and I'm prepared to do that. And I'm hoping that anyone and everyone who's wanting to be a part of this team, most welcome.
Lovely. 2022, hopefully a better year. Sachin Tendulkar will continue to be one of the most searched cricketers in 2050 as well. Fingers crossed. But what a fantastic conversation. We thought 30 minutes. I've gone 45. So pardon me for that, Sachin, but loved it. Backstage with Boria, enriched, privileged that you gave me this time. You've always done that. My first phone call, one of my first phone calls was to you when I decided to go on my own, set up this platform and do this. And I had to say this publicly. Always I've been given encouragement. Always I've been given support. Value that from the core of my heart. Thank you very, very much for your time. Thank
Pleasure.
you.
Thank
and
you.
wish you and the family and the foundation a much better 2022. So on behalf of us both, anyone watching, wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you so much.